Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Have you lost your mind? Tell me when you think we crossed the line. No more drunks for me. Pussy and religion is all I need. Grab my hand and baby, we'll live a hell of a life. Never in your wildest dreams. Never in your wildest dreams. The wildest. You could hear the loudest screams coming from inside the screen. You a wild bitch. Tell me what I gotta do to be that guy. Said the price go down. She ever fuck a black guy? Do anal or do a gangbang? It's kinda crazy, that's all considered the same thing. Yeah. Well, I guess a lot of niggas do gangbang. And if we run trains, we're all in the same gang. Runaway slaves all on the chain gang. Bang, 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 bang. Have you lost your mind? Tell me when you think we crossed the line. No more drunks for me. Cause pussy and religion is all I need. Grab my hand and baby, we'll live a hell of a life.
What up, y'all? Babylon 5 podcast. It's your boy Jermaine Babbles. It's the 10th anniversary of my beautiful dark twisted fantasy. My beautiful dark twisted fantasy. It's 10th anniversary today. So congratulations to Kanye. Congratulations to, everybody who worked on that album. I think that album did a lot for a lot of people. I thought this was a good time to record. Finding out it's not the best time. Niggas around here be liking they like to cheer on, they like to buy jerseys and pretend they're a part of something they're not. It makes them feel better for a couple hours maybe. Maybe it makes them feel pretty down. When I used to be a Packer fan, I remember, or a football fan, I remember I was super excited. We were playing the Seahawks, and I was like, fuck, we're going back to the Super Bowl. I remember it was like, what is it like before the Super Bowl, like conference finals or some shit? And I watch basketball still. I don't remember is it the Eastern Conference Finals in football? Whatever it's called. Whatever our side was playing in the East, if you will, or the West. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is with football. But we was playing them niggas, and I was like, yo, we about to go back to the chip. We about to get a chip. And I remember I was about to post on Facebook, like, we going to the chip. And something told me, like, just hold off on that, Hold on, my brother. Don't post that just yet. I held off on it. And we proceeded to throw the game. Or not throw the game, but lose the game to the Seattle Seahawks. And I said, at that point, that's when I started to distance myself from being like a crazy, hardcore Packer fan. I was like, I gotta distance myself. I was like, am I Ted Turner? Am I Mark Murphy? My nigga, this is pointless. None of this means anything to me. This is episode 66, holiday season. It's the holiday season, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 66. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys social media. If you want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod, where I do most of my live tweeting. I do most of my daily posting on Instagram there. You can, so I was like, I don't know when a perfect time is because niggas are screaming. But at the old apartment, it was the same thing, but I guess people were further away at the old apartment here. Now we know definitely know when the games are on. If you want to follow my personal account, it's on Instagram and Twitter. It's at my name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast at babylon5.podbean.com. You can Listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere podcasts stream. If you guys got Xbox, go ahead and add me. My gamer tag is SaucedBoss414. Go ahead and add me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Babylon5. And go ahead and check out the merchandise. Buy a t-shirt or 15 at teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And don't just be my Negro. Don't just be my Negro. Be my patron. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod and be my patron. Support the podcast. Why not? Every dollar counts. If you niggas is, I'm like, where was I? Yeah, if you niggas is on TikTok, go ahead and add a brother at Babylon 5 Podcast. That's your boy on TikTok. I guess I was pretty gung-ho about it, but I'm not as active on it. That was something that was my hesitation for it. It was like I didn't know if I would have the motivation to stay posting on it. It took a lot. It took years for me to try to stay dedicated to Instagram, nigga. Nigga, I jumped on Instagram right away, and I, didn't care to try to build that up. My name's Jermaine, that account's been there probably since, a couple days after Instagram came out. And then I just didn't know or care to look up. Well, after a while, once niggas started getting Instagram famous, I was like, fuck, man, how do you grow this? I've been posting shit. Nobody likes my shit. And then it was like, oh, you gotta do this, do that. Blah, blah, blah. My wife taught me. My wife tells me a lot of things, actually, ladies and gentlemen. But my wife taught me that. It's the 10th anniversary of Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. A lot of bangers. A lot of bangers on that joint, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you start off with the song Dark Fantasy. You got the narration from Nicki Minaj. It's just a fire-ass song. Look like a fat booty Celine Dion. Sex is on fire. I'm the king of Leona Lewis. Beyond the truest. It's nothing but bangers on that. Gorgeous. Banger. Power. Banger. All the Lights. Banger. Monster. Banger. So Appalled. Banger. Devil in a New Dress. Certified. Banger. Runaway. Fucking banger. Anthem. Hell of a Life. Anthem. Banger. Blame Game. Banger. Lost in the World. One of the greatest songs ever made. Who Will Survive in America? Dope. It's just like a nigga kind of like preaching. It's not a banger. I would be foolish to call that a banger, but this album, man, goddamn, nigga. Goddamn, nigga. This album is fire. So I felt like I wanted to pay homage to Ye with that Hell of a Life little intro there. Well, you know what's the best part of the song? Tell me what I gotta do to be that guy. Said her price go down, she ever fuck a black guy, or do anal, or do a gangbang. It's kind of crazy that's all considered the same thing. Well, I guess a lot of niggas do gangbang. And if we run train, we all in the same gang. Runaway slaves all on a chain gang. Bang, 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 bang. Classic Ye. Classic Ye. It's one of those things where, I was saying to my wife, because she was never, an Eminem fan, and I was like, you heard Stan? You heard the song Stan, and you didn't fucking, become an instant diehard fan? The way I'm listening to it, this story's amazing. And I just, it's one of those things with people with Kanye. When they hate on, when they're like, oh, I hate Kanye. And I'm just like, but have you heard the music? I don't think you'd be saying that if you heard any of the music. I remember one time I was at Walgreens on Brady Street here, and I was listening to the song Runaway. and I had my headphones, and they were blasting pretty loud because I'm obnoxious that way. But I had them off in my head because I was like paying for things, but I wanted to hear the music. And the cashier was like, "Oh, what's that song? That's really good." And I was like, "Oh, it's Kanye West, Runaway." And she was like, "Oh, I like that song. I don't like that person." This is like 2013, no, it was like 2014, 15. It's like, what are you talking about? That statement right there tells me you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know her context. As I said, I was saying to my wife, like, I don't understand how someone could hear that amazing story and not just be so wild that you become like a lifelong fan of Eminem just off of like certain things he was doing. But like that song, that's the story. And she's like, that story's scary. And I'm like, fuck, I'd never even looked at it from that perspective. You know what I'm saying? I never even looked at it from that perspective. And then I put it on. We were listening to it, and I'm like, damn, I guess this is kind of scary. I can see why you see that way. Like, I can see why someone would see this song as scary. Especially a little white girl. Back probably like 11, 12, 10, 11, about 10, 11. And all of a sudden, this white dude just come out of nowhere rapping about some crazed fan. Rapping about some crazed fan fucking shoving his pregnant wife in the trunk of his car, getting drunk and driving off of a bridge. I guess I never once even thought of that as scary as a child until she, like, I'm fucking 30, my nigga. I turn 31 next week. Literally, this shit's sneaking up on me. And until she said that the song Stan was scary to her, it never even occurred to me that people could even perceive it that way. Okay. Just want to rate my BB. Just told her to take her time, you know what I'm saying? She's out doing some things. But yeah, until she said that, I never even thought about it. Until she said it, then I listened to it again, and I was like, holy fuck, this is kind of scary. I guess if you... But that's M's, like, second album. By that point, I was used to Eminem talking about shit like that. If you already listened to the first album, you understand why Stan's putting his wife in the trunk to go to this bridge. You know what I'm saying? If you listen to the first album, you already understand it. But shout out to Kanye West, if I can get back to the point here. A little digression there. It's the 10th anniversary. That album was amazing. I love Hell of a Life. Lost in the World is probably my favorite song, like, of all time. I love Lost in the World. At least it was at one point. Like, it was at one point, and I haven't really addressed that point since saying that back in, like, 2016. A lot of music has come out since then. Frank's dropped some things. Huge Frank Ocean fan, if you don't know. Pretty much anything Frank drops, it puts on the list. It gets added to the list of some of my favorite songs of all time before I even hear it. And then, after I listen to it 1,000 times, can we decide if it's moving up or down on the list? Because I'm going to listen to it 1,000 times if Frank Ocean puts it out. I'm going to put that DHL on repeat, all right? Whatever Frank drops, I don't care. I remember he dropped DHL. I was like, I don't even fucking know if I like this song. I don't even know if I like it, but thank you, Frank, for... Let's put this shit on. No, I ain't even gonna play it. That shit's fire, low key. I didn't know what I wasn't ready when it first came on. I wasn't ready. God damn, this shit fire. anywho, this nigga Cole, shout out to Kanye West. I think he birthed a lot of niggas through this album. A lot of niggas like the sound you get from like a Frank, sound you get from like a Tyler, the Creator. I think the bravery that's shown in the album of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy definitely led to a lot of my favorite artists just having the courage to do certain things, you know. So shout out to him for that. Shout out to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy on its 10th anniversary. As I said before, my wife tells me lots of things. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to let you guys know, it's rather personal, but I wanted to let you guys know that, ladies and gentlemen, the other day my wife revealed to me that she thinks the movie Gladiator is dumb. She says she doesn't like action movies, actually. Hence why your boy hasn't seen any of the last Fast and the Furious movies. I can't watch them anymore. Because she shames me, you know, if I even mention them. If I even jokingly was like, we should just get high and watch. No, we should just watch Fast and the Furious. But she would not be with that joke at all. She'd be like, get the fuck out of my life. So I can't watch any more Fast and the Furious. She doesn't care for action movies. She originally told me that she hadn't seen it. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I figured, it's been long enough, you know. It was time for her to see this masterpiece. And she tells me that she's already seen it, and it's dumb, ladies and gentlemen. My wife revealed to me she's never been a fan of anything Russell Crowe has ever done. Are you guys hearing me right now? My wife revealed to me, ladies and gentlemen, she's never been a fan of anything Russell Crowe has ever done. Now, as I wrote that, ladies and gentlemen, I realized I couldn't name too many Russell Crowe movies. But I Googled it. Ladies and gentlemen. And it turns out I've basically only seen Gladiator. But my nigga, have you seen Gladiator? Have you seen Gladiator? Because that shit is fire. Apparently, as I'm looking through his movies, they announced Gladiator 2. 2 years ago, they announced Gladiator 2 starring Russell fucking Crowe himself. But unfortunately, yesterday, my wife revealed to me that she has no interest in seeing Gladiator. I don't know what I can do. Because let's say we're in a post-COVID world, 2021, in a post-COVID scenario. Everybody's vaccinated, mass vaccinations. And they dropped that trailer for Gladiator 2. All I'm going to be thinking about, ladies and gentlemen, is yesterday my wife revealed to me that she thinks Gladiator is fucking dumb. And that's all I'll be able to think about. So hopefully, hopefully if they do come out with a Gladiator 2, that it goes straight to like a streaming service so I can enjoy it in peace. But another fucking masterpiece, Gladiator 2 starring Russell Crowe, that's not gone. That's gonna be a number one hit for like 6 months straight. They're gonna have to keep that shit at the box office. My wife says she saw Gladiator and she thought it was dumb. Was she not entertained? Was that not what she was here for? Anywho, moving on. So, the other day, it was announced that the Bucks had made a couple of trades. But since that time, niggas have reneged. Okay? Niggas have reneged. Well, so the Bucks we did trade for Drew Holiday. We have Drew Holiday. But there was another trade that was announced that we were trading for Bojan Bogdanovic, which would have been a sign-in trade. But then all of a sudden it came out like, that's not happening, fuck niggas. I was looking at videos of Bogdanovic, and I was like, yo, this nigga cold. Nigga listed at 6'6", nigga look at least 6'7". Play defense hard, nigga. He's a 3-and-D with hella hustle. I was like, yo, that dude right there is the game changer. I was like, that's an insane upgrade, and I was super hyped. It's like, Giannis ain't going nowhere. We bring in Drew Holiday and fucking Bogdanovic. I was like, this nigga's cold. Then that shit falls apart because apparently when they did that sign-in trade before people were able to sign free agents, apparently. It was an illegal trade. So they basically had to cancel the trade in order, because the NBA was going to investigate and veto the fucking trade anyway, because it was an illegal trade at the time that they did it. And it just kind of broke down, and now fucking that nigga, it's tested free agency. The Hawks sent that nigga an offer for $72 million for 4 years. So I'm pretty sure we're probably not going to get Bogdanovic unless the Kings match, and then they could still trade him to us at that point. But I think that would be the only way, because they were already okay with trading this nigga. So I'd be cool with that. The Bucks, we drafted random ass niggas. We didn't have first round picks, so that was whatever. The Bucks just signed Torrey Craig from the Nuggets. I think he's about 6'7" forward, 3-and-D guy. I simulate a lot of franchises when I usually try to set up a defensive-minded team. I think he's one of the guys I pick up, maybe even a balanced guy. He's a pretty solid player according to 2K. That's how I base a lot of my rankings, nigga. What does the shit look like on 2K? Says the Bucks signed some nigga named Bryn Forbes. I don't know who the fuck that is. Said he played for the Spurs. I don't know who the fuck that is. Said the Bucks signed some undrafted nigga named Mamadi Diakite. Mamadi Diakite. He's a forward out of Virginia. Signed that nigga to a 2-way deal. We signed this other nigga, Jalen Adams, to a 2-way deal. Is any of this popping out to you? Is this exciting anybody? I don't think so. Bucks signed DJ Augustin. Does that excite anybody? I don't think so. Does this say to you that we're gonna keep the 2-time MVP? The Bucks signed Bobby Portis to a 2-year deal to back up Giannis Antetokounmpo. Does that get you excited? I named this episode Holiday Season. When they announced the first couple of trades, I was super hyped. When I was looking at these videos, I was looking at highlight videos of from last season of Drew Holiday and Bogdan and these niggas. I was like, okay. I was like, Drew Holiday is good, but Bogdan was the thing that I felt like was going to put us over. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's anything, like, I know people were saying, like, oh, we need a point guard. And yes, we do. With Drew there, like, that's already locked up. That's fine. But then also, if we were able to bring in Bogdan into that lineup, I felt like, yo, we would have been dominating motherfuckers. But especially with no Klay Thompson, we would be dominating motherfuckers. But I don't know. Bucks re-signed Pat Connaughton, 3-year deal, $16 million. Okay. The Lakers signed Wes Matthews. I don't really see that as much of a loss. Yeah, the report says Bucks moving on from Bogdan. They just fucking moved on from the Bogdan. Why didn't you guys fucking go after that? That's really disappointing to me. I feel like bringing in Bogdan would have really been a game changer, as I just said, but they're moving on from it, which I think is a mistake. Nothing about these additions really excite me for the Bucks. If anything, I'd be happy if Giannis said, I ain't signing with you niggas. And then we gotta be in rebuild mode. Trade that nigga for like 7 picks. Trade, if we got to. If he says he's not coming here, trade that nigga for something. Because if he's going to leave, then trade that nigga for something. Fucking OKC got like 7,000 first-round picks. Trade that nigga to OKC for like 17 picks. I think it's worth it. If you put Shea Gilchrist with Giannis, that'd be nice. Matter of fact, I know it's nice because I've done it on 2K. We've won about 8 championships. Jason Tatum re-signs with the Celtics. It's going to be an interesting season. The Lakers are looking to be pretty beastie. Serge Ibaka signs with the fucking Clippers. That's going to be interesting to look at. It's going to be some interesting things. I don't think the Bucks are doing enough right now. I like Drew Holiday. I like the addition. But other than that, outside of the addition of Drew Holiday without Bogdan, like I was very excited about the Bogdan pickup, but without Bogdan, nothing else there really excites me. Nothing really just like stands out to me as like, yes, Bucks, we made that moves. You shored up so many things here. I don't think so. Bogdan did that, and I don't understand why they would step away from that. But it is what it is. I guess maybe because if they could do the sign and trade, then they would get bird rights, and there wouldn't be a penalty at that point from going over to re-signing him to a long-term deal. But now if he's a free agent and we sign him to that deal, we don't have the bird rights. I think that's what happened, which means it would affect their ability to sign more people, you know, and keep Giannis. But I don't know if he'll stay. I don't know if he'll stay. I don't know if this team is... If he sees this team right now as the team that's gonna, like, fucking win him a championship, that he can win a championship with, like, what are the real improvements here? What are the real improvements here? I don't see it. Is Bobby Portis that much of an improvement over fucking Ersan? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you lose or gain anything there. You get a hothead over there, maybe like an enforcer. I don't know. Moving on. UFC this past weekend. We had pay-per-view, actually. UFC 255. We had Joaquin Buckley returning after his wheel kick knockout of Impa Kasanganay. Steps in to face what they kept repeating. This guy he's fighting Jordan Wright. They kept repeating the undefeated Jordan Wright. He's facing this undefeated guy who's blah 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 blah. They kept like repeating undefeated guy. And I'm like, dog, if you go to Tapology, it says he lost the fight that says no contest. You click that fight, and you see that he actually tapped out. He was submitted in that fight. But then, so he lost. But then the person either tested positive for steroids or I think it was steroids. Tested positive for steroids in the post-fight drug screen. So then they ruled his loss as a fucking no contest. And now it's like he's back to being undefeated. But in my mind, I'm like, bro, he lost, and he knows he lost. He's not walking in there with the mentality of an undefeated fighter. And he's definitely not an undefeated fighter. And he walked in, and my boy Buckley knocked this nigga out. Buckley knocks out Jordan Wright in the second round. He was just throwing bombs the whole fight, just coming forward. Knocks him out in the first round. Says he wants to fight James Krause January 23rd. James Krause has been talking shit about Buckley since Buckley got that knockout against Impa Kasanganay. He was saying, like, people are going to see how fake this guy is. And so now Buckley's saying that he wants to fight James Krause January 23rd on Fight Island, which is the pay-per-view that's headlined by Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. Just so happens he's like, I want to fight you January 23rd. That specific date, on the Conor card. That's interesting. I mean, it's smart. Why wouldn't you want to do that? But what's interesting here is when they're talking about, like, the whole, like, his personality traits. And they're saying, like, they're like, yo, James Krause was saying Buckley's fake. And people soon will see, like, the real, like, Buckley, and, like, he trains dirty and all this shit, like. And what I would say was interesting when I was watching Embedded, when Buckley met Mike Perry, and I guess these losers feel like they did something. And Buckley, he runs into Mike Perry, and they're walking to go sign the posters for the pay-per-view. And Buckley says to Mike Perry, I think it's kind of weird. I've never signed the posters with a guy I'll potentially fight one of these days. And Mike Perry was like, don't you fight at 185? And he was like, oh yeah, but I'm trying to get down at 170 too. And Mike Perry was like, okay. And like that was just like it was awkward, and I was like, yo, that was like a weird moment. Cause like before it was like, oh, what's up? They was all, handshakes and whatever, but then he threw that just weird, like, oh, I've never been in here with somebody I'll potentially fight one day. Like that was just, and like Perry was like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? So like that was just a weird moment. I was like, that kind of stuck out to me. If we're talking about personalities, if that's what Krause, some shit like that is what probably would have rubbed Krause the wrong way, if anything. It's probably a little shit like that, but it's probably like something small like that is what I would imagine rubbed Krause the wrong way. But it is what it is. Let them niggas fight. And then they'll settle it then, if that's going to be the case. Let them niggas fight. Moving on. We had Brandon Moreno taking on Brandon Royval. And I went with Brandon Royval coming into this fight, and it was pretty fucking scrappy in the first round. All right, pretty scrappy. You have Moreno. He was pretty much set up in a spot to hit Royval with a twister, but he just like never attempted it. I thought that's what he was doing, but he never once attempted the twister. Even the commentary was talking about it, but he just didn't do it. And then like they're sprawling, and then somehow in the middle of the tussle, the midst of the struggle, Royval dislocated his shoulder, like while he's on the ground, and Moreno noticed that he was pretty much incapacitated. He couldn't defend himself, so he started fucking just like unloading with strikes. He poured it on, and the ref came in and stopped the fight. And I thought going into this, I was like, I didn't understand why Moreno, the number one contender, wasn't challenging Davison Figueiredo in the main event for the belt. You have the champion defending the belt against the number 2 or 3 guy while the number one contender is fighting on the same card. It just didn't make any sense. And this is the second booked fight. They booked Cody Garbrandt to fight over Brandon Moreno for no reason. Brandon Moreno's been the number one contender this whole time, and they're just like overlooking him. But he got that first round stoppage with 2 seconds left in the fight. Freak accident as it was. All we'll know when we look back in the record book. If we look back at the records, we look at these fights, it'll say Brandon Moreno beat Brandon Royval by first round stoppage, TKO due to strikes. It won't say, oh, but it was a freak accident. It'll just say that Moreno won the fight. Sorry. It'll just say that Moreno won the fight. So that's what it is at the end of the day. And that's just what it is. Then we had Paul Craig, the bad Jew, taking on Shogun Rua. I didn't know beforehand that this was a rematch. I was looking into it. The first fight earlier this year went into a draw. These two fought. Went into a draw, so this is a rematch. I think in the second round, in the second round, after fucking Shogun Rua, I'm watching the replay. I'm saying to my wife, like, yo, I'm pretty sure this nigga just checked his oil. Pretty sure he just checked this nigga's oil. And, like, she didn't look up at the screen as I'm saying this. And I was like, and I said, like, babe, you didn't look up at the screen as I said that. And I was like, you probably didn't understand. But when I said he checked his oil, I was trying to say he's sticking his finger in that man's ass right now. And she's like, oh, I kind of thought that's what you meant. But, you know, so she wasn't interested. But I'm like, yo, he's checking that nigga's oil. So Shogun Rua definitely stuck his finger in Paul Craig's ass. And then Paul Craig took him down and just pretty much beat the shit out of him right there on the fence. And Shogun Rua tapped to strikes. He tapped the strikes. I was just trying to find this video of him talking about it. I thought I found the video, but it was like the full video. But no, he definitely, because they were asking him, like, what was it like to get your oil checked by the legend Shogun? And he was like, he preferred not to get his oil checked at all, but at least it was from the fucking legend. It was just like, yo, that's fucking wild. But Shogun Rua, what is he, like 38? Looks pretty old out there. Looked pretty old. And he tapped out due to strikes. You don't see it happen often. I think everybody's thinking he should retire. Even though, like, if I'm not mistaken, in his last 9 fights, including this one, he would be like 6-2-1. Like, including that draw to fucking Paul Craig. So, but they're like, oh man, he should retire. I'm like, but, I mean, I don't know if you should just lose a fight. If anybody should. We'll talk about if niggas should retire. I don't know. Who are we to say when people should retire? It looks like Anderson Silva's not retiring. He was just released from the UFC, but he said he still has a desire to continue to do what he's doing. He has that desire, so he's not going to retire. And who are we to tell him that he needs to? can do whatever makes him happy. Then we had Cynthia Calvillo taking on Caitlin Chookagian. I took Calvillo in this one. I felt like she was just the all-around better fighter, and Caitlin just fought like a month ago and lost. So I was just like, I don't know. I was just doubting Chookagian in this one, but she came out here and she kept Calvillo at a distance for the whole fight. And it was like Calvillo never really took too many chances to get into grappling exchanges. She was like, for whatever reason, she was just happy to stay at range and just get fucking picked apart, just getting hurt with these jabs, just getting picked apart at distance. And yeah, I felt like Chookagian just dominated for 3 rounds straight, and that's how the judges scored a unanimous decision for Chookagian. It's not how I saw it coming in, but it's how it ended up, ladies and gentlemen. It's how it ended up. Mike Perry versus Tim Means. I went with Tim Means going in here for a number of reasons. One, Tim Means is a great striker. Great striker. He's a great traditional, he has great traditional striking, which similar to Jeff Neal. And I saw Mike Perry fight Jeff Neal in Vegas live, and Jeff Neal beat the shit out of Mike Perry. So that's number one. This is there's similarities between Jeff Neal and Tim Means' fighting styles in the stand-up. That's number one. Mike Perry missed weight by 4.5 pounds. He tweeted before doing so that he wasn't going to make weight and that he asked for a fight at 185, but they wouldn't give it to him. Questioned if he was good enough to continue fighting, and that his focus was to expand his family with Coach Latore. I assumed it, and most people assumed that he was joking because he often posts nonsense. He sent somebody a picture of a broken arm that apparently was just a fake X-ray of some random person's broken arm. It wasn't his actual arm that was broken. It was just he just likes to fuck with people. So everybody assumed he was fucking with people with his posts, and then he shows up and he was well overweight. So all that told me his head wasn't in this and he was going to lose. And so in the first round though, Perry takes Tim Means down. He's attempting a submission. He was looking pretty good in the grappling. But then they got back to the feet at some point, and Tim seemed to be the better striker right away. And but I gave the first round to Perry because he was controlling him on the ground and was attempting submissions. Second round, Tim Means is just fucking landing at will with his jab. Midway through the rounds, the commentators are talking about if Means is simply strong enough to knock him out. And they're talking about Jeff Neal was able to knock him out because he's just a beast. And they're saying Tim Means is pretty much putting it on him just like Jeff Neal, but they're saying he just doesn't have that power to put him to sleep like Jeff Neal was able to stop him. But he's fucking dominating Perry at this point. And then the third, it was pretty even. It was a brawl in the third round, but I actually would have scored it a draw with the third round, which would have gave it a draw for the whole fight. But Means was given the unanimous decision over Mike Perry. But I don't feel like Mike Perry looked pretty bad regardless. And with the tweets, his head ain't there. His head ain't in it. So we'll see what happens. What's in the future here for Mike Perry, but I don't know. Where does he go from here? At this point in his career, where does he go? In the co-main event, you had Valentina Shevchenko defending her belt against Jennifer Maia. Shevchenko got an early takedown in the first round. She's pretty much controlling her in the first round, so I gave her that first round. Maia, in the second round, gets a takedown. So Shevchenko gets another takedown in the second round. And then Maia gets up from the takedown quickly and then controls Shevchenko in the clinch up against the fence. And like Maia gets a takedown on Shevchenko, and she's just dominating her for this whole round. Maia wins that second round for me. Shevchenko is clearly superior in the stand-up. You know what I'm saying? Between the two, I don't think that was a question for anybody. But Maia was landing. Maia was definitely landing, but Shevchenko was definitely clearly superior. She had more tools, more weapons there to utilize. Shevchenko gets a takedown after she lands like this big left hand. But Maia is able to use her butterfly hooks to get back to her feet and control Shevchenko on the fence. Shevchenko gets another takedown, though, at the end of the round. So I gave that round to Shevchenko. You got Shevchenko just dominating in the stand-up and gets another body lock takedown. She was just beasting. She was just, like, showing how strong. She just get up on her in the clinch, just wrap her arms around her, get this body lock, and just fucking just toss it, just ragdolling her to the ground. And then she'd already, like, sometimes she's, like, through this body lock takedown to side control. So you're already, like, fucking in one of the worst positions you could possibly be in if you're Jennifer Maia, like, with that takedown. It's beastie-ass takedown. And, yeah, she's getting these body lock takedowns to side control. And Valentina's just, like, controlling her on the ground, and it's really fucking cool to see. Like, if you know anything about grappling at all, you ever seen it, and you just, like, see someone who people just can't fuck with their fucking top game. I got some nice top game, low-key, but that's neither here nor there. But it's just real fucking cool to see her control Maia on the ground the way she was able to. It was really cool to see. Now, in the fifth round, I gave that round to Shevchenko with all the control. As I'm gushing over her control right now, clearly I give that round to her in the fifth round. Maia's nose, she's bleeding from her nose a bit. Shevchenko, she came out and she's just like, she's trying to put an exclamation mark on this fight in the fifth round. She's really coming and putting it on Maia, so I gave that round to Shevchenko, and all the judges scored exactly the same, 49-46, as I did. For unanimous decision, Shevchenko retains her belt. I know Shevchenko was talking about how she wants her third fight with Amanda Nunes soon, but I personally don't want to see that fight next, or actually anytime soon. As I was saying before, I'm excited to see Jessica Andrade fight Valentina Shevchenko. So, because as I said before, I thought Andrade beat Rose Namajunas in the rematch, and I think Andrade is better than a lot of people think she is. A lot of people, I think a lot of people just doubt Jessica Andrade, and I think she could beat. I think she could beat Shevchenko. You think I'm crazy, but what I'm saying is, like, when you saw Maia in the second round just completely control Shevchenko, to me, that's the moment in 300 where you make the god bleed. We've seen that the god can bleed. I mean, we've seen her lose before. We've seen her lose to fucking Amanda Nunes. So, like, we've seen that. And then we've seen her lose by a bullshit doctor stoppage. Literally, those are her only stoppages. So, like, if those are her only losses, I guess we didn't really see the god bleed. Because it's like, fuck, you only lost to the person that everybody's calling the greatest female fighter of all time. That's the only person you've lost. I don't know if we've seen the god bleed yet. But we saw Maia have a good round, at least. So that, I think, if Andrade has decent jiu-jitsu, and if her biggest thing is her power, and they're saying, like, that power usually carries throughout the rounds, I think she could at least put up a good fight, I think she could put up a good fight. I'd like to see Shevchenko fight Rose Namajunas. I'd like to see that fight. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, Shevchenko retains her flyweight championship, and in the main event, you have Davison Figueiredo defending his flyweight championship against Mike Perez. And in the first round, Figueiredo wins via submission in under 2 minutes, nigga. God damn. This nigga's cold. This nigga, Davison Figueiredo, is fucking violence personified. Like, it doesn't matter. He just walks through your offense. Anything you fucking come at him, just throw your hardest strike, land, and he'll just he'll walk through it like nothing happened. Hit this nigga with a fucking hammer. He'll walk through it like nothing happened. He's a fucking monster. Don't hit this nigga with a hammer. Don't do it. But he's a monster. He's violence personified. He wins the fight in under 2 minutes. And I don't have much to say about the fight. I mean, there was some people were talking about fence grabs. I mean, there's fence grabs all night, okay? Just fucking nasty fence grabs all night. So, whatever. But under 2 minutes, he gets a submission, okay? And apparently, Figueiredo and Moreno, the guy I thought he should have fought in the first place, have already agreed to fight each other next month at UFC 256. Dana White said that, he said they're not leaving. He said Figueiredo's not going back to Brazil. He's staying in Abu Dhabi, and they're going to fight next month. He's going to defend his belt. Because he fucking dominated. He walked through that man and gets a submission in under 2 minutes. That man is fucking violence personified. And I'm excited to see them fight. That's going to be a fucking BC fight. Figueiredo versus Moreno next month. UFC 256. That's going to be fucking hype. So that's a championship fight we got for next month. Figueiredo's turning it around, making some fans, you know what I'm saying. You had, so next week, that was it for the UFC 256. That was such a quick fight. I don't have much to say about it, you know. Don't have much to say. Next week, we got fucking Curtis Blades taking on Derek Lewis. And you guys know I'm not a fan of Derek Lewis. You know, what it was that he won his fight and he shouted out Donald Trump in a way that really rubbed me the wrong way. Just, you know, as I feel like when people of color do certain things, where it's like, do you even know what the fuck you're talking about? Like, explain to me that you know why you're saying that shit, and then if you know why you're saying that shit and you actually believe in it, then fucking say it. I have no problem. But the way I'm understanding it is you're just saying it because you thought it was cool, you thought you were being funny, thought it was the right thing to say at that moment, but you don't believe it. You have no idea why you're saying that shit. And Derek Lewis is one of those guys, so I would love to see Curtis Blades beat that nigga ass. You got Renato Moicano taking on Rafael Fiziev. He's that nigga that do the niggas throw head kicks at him and he bend back like the Matrix. He that nigga. So I'm interested in that fight. The fight that really sticks out to me, right? That I see it and I'm like, nigga, no. What are you doing? What are you doing? This fucking first fight of the main card. You got fucking Devin Clark versus fucking Anthony Lionheart Smith. What the fuck is going on? Alright, and this would be, his third time fighting this year? He fought against Glover Teixeira, if you will. He got fucking demolished against Glover Teixeira May 13th in a fight that went on it was uncomfortably too long, way too long. He started like fucking handing his teeth to the ref that is just falling out of his face. Teixeira's just pounding his face in. And then like a week or two later, they announced that he's fucking fighting Alexander Rakic, August 29th. in another one-sided beating. He went out there. He just fought August 29th. And next week, ladies and gentlemen, next week, he's fighting Devin Clark. And it's like, who are you to say, like, this man can't fight? Who are you to, I'm just like, dude, man, with the damage he's kind of taken in the past couple fights, with him just kind of curling up in a ball, like, why is that intelligently defending himself? He did it against John Jones, where he just kind of curls up against the fence in a ball, and they just land strikes on him until the fight's over, until the round's over. And then he comes out, walks, then they get him up against the fence, and they get him to the ground, and he just curls up in a ball, and they just let that happen. I don't know why that's considered intelligently defending, but we've watched it happen 2 straight fights where he just curls up into a ball against the fence and gets pounded on. I'm just saying, like, why isn't he taking more time to just, like, address certain issues here? Maybe it's the cardio. Maybe it's just, like, the game plan. Maybe he's blowing his load too soon here. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't know if taking all these fights so close together is the answer. I don't think so. I hope he doesn't get hurt. Hope he doesn't get hurt. This man's got a family. But he's out there. After his last fight, he was like, yeah, I definitely got some things to think about. When you say that, when I hear people say that, to me, it sounds like you're contemplating retirement. In MMA, that's what it sounds like to me, but I could be wrong. But you're contemplating retirement because of how poorly you've been performing. And you get a relatively quick turnaround. Like, how is that the answer? I don't know. But I hope this nigga doesn't get hurt. I'm a fan of Lionheart, but if that's what he chooses to do, man, who am I? PD Bob, motherfucker. But that's what he do. It's episode 66, holiday season. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys social medias, all right? Okay. If you guys want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, go ahead and do it. It's at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal accounts at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, my nigga, pretty much anywhere podcast stream. If you niggas got Xbox, go ahead and add a brother. My gamer tag is SauceBoss414. Go ahead and add me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you niggas want to be a gem, go ahead and check out the merchandise. Go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And don't be my Negro, be my patron. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. And also, if you motherfuckers is on TikTok, add a brother at Babylon5 Podcast. This is your boy, Jermaine Event. This is episode 66, holiday season. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me another week. Hope you guys are all staying safe, being kind to yourselves and each other. And, yeah, man, I'll see you guys next week, hopefully. Hopefully I'll see you guys next week. All right, peace. 1.